Max Verstappen's chances of winning the 2025 Formula One championship have effectively ended after the Brazilian Grand Prix, where a controversial late-race pit stop cost him a potential victory and left him 49 points behind championship leader Lando Norris, with just 3 races remaining. After starting from the pit lane due to a power unit change, Verstappen drove an impressive recovery race to take the lead by lap 55. But Red Bull's decision to pit him for fresh tires with 16 laps to go dropped him back to 4th place. Although he fought back to finish 3rd, the result means the title is now realistically out of reach. The weekend in Brazil started poorly for Verstappen after a difficult sprint race on Saturday morning prompted Red Bull to make significant setup changes to his car before qualifying. Team principal Laurent Mekies explained the reasoning behind the decision, saying, "We were not happy with where we were after the sprint, so we decided to make a number of changes. It is part of the risk-taking we felt was necessary to see if we could get more out of the car." However, the changes did not produce the desired effect and instead made the car more difficult to drive, leaving Verstappen with very little grip and a car that was sliding through the corners. Verstappen qualified in 16th place after being eliminated in Q1, while his teammate Yuki Tsunoda qualified 19th, marking Red Bull's first double Q1 exit since the 2006 Japanese Grand Prix. When asked about the qualifying session, Verstappen described the experience as frustrating, saying, "It was just bad. I couldn't push at all. The car was all over the place, sliding around a lot. So yeah, I had to underdrive it a lot just to not have a moment, and that of course doesn't work in qualifying." He added that the whole weekend had been challenging, but the qualifying result was particularly unexpected given the amount of changes they had made to the car. Following the disappointing qualifying session, Verstappen was asked about his championship prospects, and his response was blunt. When asked if he could still win the title, he said, "I can forget about that." When the reporter asked him to confirm, Verstappen replied, "Yes, for sure. Where we are starting, that is not going to work. And with these kinds of performances, forget about it." It was a rare admission of defeat from the 4-time world champion who has built his reputation on never giving up, but he was being realistic given that he would be starting well down the grid while Norris was on pole position. Red Bull then made the decision to change Verstappen's power unit, which meant he would have to start the race from the pit lane rather than from his 16th place grid position. This seemed to make his task even more difficult. But when the race started on Sunday, Verstappen quickly demonstrated why he is considered one of the best drivers in Formula One by carving through the field in the opening laps and making his way up to 13th place within just a few racing laps. The race was then interrupted by a safety car period after Oscar Piastri made contact with Kimi Antonelli and Charles Leclerc at Turn 1 following a restart. Verstappen had picked up a puncture during the incident and was forced to pit under the virtual safety car, which dropped him back to the rear of the field. But he emerged with fresh medium tires and continued his charge. What followed was one of the most impressive drives of the season, as Verstappen overtook car after car while setting consistently fast lap times and making up ground on the leaders. By lap 55 of the 71-lap race, Verstappen had worked his way through the entire field and found himself in the lead. It appeared to be shaping up as one of the great Formula One comeback drives, similar to his victory at the same circuit last year when he won from 17th on the grid in wet conditions. The McLarens ahead of him were committed to 2-stop strategies and would need to pit again, while the Mercedes drivers were managing their tire wear, and Verstappen seemed to be in control of the race. However, with 16 laps remaining, Red Bull made the call to bring Verstappen into the pits for a fresh set of soft tires. The decision dropped him from 1st to 4th behind Norris, Antonelli, and George Russell, and immediately raised questions about whether it was the right call. Verstappen emerged from the pits and quickly began pushing, passing Russell on lap 63 with a move around the outside into Turn 1 to move up to 3rd. At that point, Verstappen had a 14-second gap to close to Antonelli in 2nd place. With fresh soft tires, he began reducing the gap at 1-2 seconds per lap. For a few laps, it looked like he might catch him, but as the soft tires degraded, his pace fell off, and he could not continue his charge. He ultimately finished 3rd, with Norris winning the race and Antonelli taking 2nd. For Verstappen, the Brazilian Grand Prix will be remembered as a race of what might have been. His driving performance was exceptional, but the strategic decision removed his opportunity to win. He demonstrated his skill and determination by recovering from a pit lane start to lead the race, showing why he has won 4 world championships. But the pit stop call meant his efforts were not rewarded. The focus for Verstappen and Red Bull now shifts to the final 3 races of the season, where they will aim to win as many as possible and secure second place in the Drivers' Championship.